Let me know how the audio is to make sure everything is running smoothly. Why is this giving me a different... Oh, whatever. Only minor technical things in the background. Thank you all who have shown up and are watching. Gonna give it a couple of seconds to let people slowly trickle in. This is a bit of a last minute thing which I'm doing, but I did practice the general idea. Let's turn the sound off to my phone. Oh god, and we're joined by a cat. Yes, yes. You're a very friendly kitty. Okay, watching is going out. Really? Really, cat? Playing this game? Okay. So that's looking good, that's looking good. Audio good, but with all due respect, the last time Kotaku... When was the last time Kotaku had a good article? Well, this one, like I said, normally I would not be doing a video on something like this because it's kind of lowbrow, I know. I mean, it gets the clicks, I guess. But as you're gonna see when I go into my little rant, it hit a bit of a personal spot to me. Let me turn this down for my own side. Okay, that's better. Okay. Let me just make sure that the window capture is working. Yep. Transform. Fit to screen. That's better. But that's not going to be until later. Going with a good background this time. Background music, I mean. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, and singular cats in my lap. Thank you for joining the soon-to-be angry Teaman. What's going to be a bit of an adventure, as we're not going to go through this entire article, but I have highlighted certain key points and what I'm going to break off, and a couple of other little things that bounce back from that. Hello, Hambrew. Thank you for joining us. And Clarence, if I did not say thank you for joining us, well, thank you for joining us. Let me also make sure my notes are up good. So this was originally going to be a full video, but I decided that all of the editing just for the article was not going to be really worth the time and effort. Especially now for something that's going to get all the immediate clicks. Like my Lord of the Rings video or the Twitch drama video got. So, here... Oh, wait a minute, I should get the window capture back on. There we go. Here's hoping Assassin's Creed Red learns from what Ghost of Tsushima did wrong. What did they do wrong, you may ask? Let's go ahead and dive into that. Oh, before that, let me finish what I was saying before. So I started on the script, and I got up to a certain point. And when we hit a certain point, I'm going to read what I had on the script. It's the first draft, so it's not going to be as clean as I would have liked it to be. But it'll be a bit more free-flowing. Ooh, viewers jumped a lot. Okay, in that case, it's time to begin. So we're not going to cover the entire thing, we're just going to cover the highlighted parts. Ghost of Tsushima was mostly a joyless slog that replicated the Western tendency to depict Asian men as devoid of any individualism or human appeal, and I'm hoping that Red offers me more than play as an assassin, but in Japan. This person is of Chinese origin, a female who of course uses pronouns. That alone should tell you all you need to know. Let me see if I get any more. Let me pull up my notes again. Okay, that's good, that's good. Alright, her words of joyless slog are interesting in that she could mean it in the sense of combat and gameplay, of which she'd be in the smallest of minorities. The combat and gameplay of Ghost of Tsushima has been highly praised, to say the least. This is also a bit of a weird video because I've only watched the game. I have not been able to get my hands in it myself. When it comes to PC, you know I'm going to. But at least I know the plot and the story, which is what the real focus of this whole thing is supposed to be. The comment about Westerners and the depictions of Asian men, on the other hand, is something insane, because if we go here, let me make sure that the screen is popping up correctly. Good. Pronouns and bio means ignore, yes. Is the chat box? Yeah, chat box is on top, okay. So she says, go back here. What's the tendency to pick Asian men is devoid of any individualism, human appeal, What does Japan think? Ghost of Tsushima is being praised by Japanese critics. Another Kotaku article, no less. If you scroll down, it's, 1, 2, 3, 4... Just 4? Well, 4 places that praise how good it is. And my personal favorite, Yakuza director heaps praise on Ghost of Tsushima. Laments restrictions of Japanese game development. To be honest, we're beaten. So what does he say? There's like a notion that Westerners don't understand things about Japan. But that hypothesis itself is mistaken. Nagoshi continues. To be honest, we, Japan, were beaten. The eccentric director says with a chuckle. Yeah, of course, we're losing. Honestly, I think that's a game that should be made in Japan, he adds. He goes on to praise the amount of research and effort that was put into the game. This will be important for later on. The amount of research and effort that was put into the game. Keep that in mind. And says that the way in which Ghost of Tsushima combines organic exploration with storytelling is so great. Given how dramatic and story-driven the Yakuza games are, it's also no surprise to hear that Nagoshi thinks highly of the performances in Ghost. I don't know the actors who did the motion capture, but the care given to the expressions is impressive, which makes me laugh a little bit. Kotaku attempts to appeal to everyone, always appeals to no one. So, this highly acclaimed director from Japan, obviously Japanese, but the care given to the expressions is impressive. Let's go back here. Western tendency to depict Asian men as devoid of any individualism or human appeal. So far, it's not really enough to get me to want to make a video on it, so let's keep going. Before I get into specific gripes about Ghost, I feel compelled to note that... Oh yeah, so I feel compelled to note that some people have responded to the announcement of Red by commenting about how we supposedly have too many open world games set in Japan. And then she goes into a little bit of a rant about how, some people are commenting about how we have too many open games, and she lists 2 examples. I have the 2 examples pulled up right over here. So this is the first one. That's cool and all, but Ubisoft... That's cool and all, Ubisoft, but Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima already exist. Now, first off, how many followers does she have? 5,700. Okay, so it's not a low number at least. But overall, what does she mean by this? Well, she explains it a little later on. Are you implying that no other company can make a game based on feudal Japan? No. That's a whole new sentence that y'all are on. Let's think of it like this. Some of you may know my excitement for the upcoming game Wo Long, and how much I love the Three Kingdoms era. I'm going to be playing the hell out of that game when it comes out. But if it was Ubisoft that made that game, I'll tell them to move on. I probably would not even touch it. It's the company that made it. It's not the setting itself already. What she is trying to say is that better games already exist. You don't need to be part of this. Ground runs and bio means, oh crap, here we go again about how much money we're gonna lose this time. And the other person she pulled up, same feel, after all these years we finally get an Assassin's Creed game in Japan. Too bad Ghost of Tsushima literally exists. I hate the way people use literally like this, but whatever. Thought I had another comment. But this guy is just 1,600 followers. So that is what she means by some people have responded to the announcement. Those two people are not even worth mentioning. I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean it in the sense of they're not some big AAA dev saying this type of stuff, or some big person with like 100,000 followers. They're just people basically saying Ubisoft sucks. Please don't touch Japan. Next. However, I do have concerns about the kind of fictional Japan that a Western studio might create. Well, let's go back here. Concerns about a fictional Japan that a Western studio might create. There's like a notion that Westerners don't understand things about Japan, but that hypothesis itself is mistaken. Whose word am I going to trust more? I reviewed Ghost of Tsushima near when released, and I was not impressed, and we're going to go over that in just a little bit. The characters in so many versions, or am I going to do that now? Okay, we're actually going to go back to this. We're going to move over now to the article she wrote when the game came out. And my ranting will come in just a little bit. But first, tea break. Made the tea too late. Still hot. Okay. I disconnected from this game for the same reasons that I stopped paying attention a quarter of the way through or a quarter of the way into Star Wars: A New Hope. East Asian aesthetics can't gloss over the fact that morality tales are very dull if they last for longer than 5 minutes. At least Star Wars has more jokes. You might be starting to see my personal issue with this. The way she speaks about things like morality. The tales of morality are very dull, they last longer than 5 minutes. At least Star Wars has more jokes. So jokes is one thing that she is looking forward to. What else is she looking forward to? The characters, as in so many Western visions of Asian people, are obsessed with honor to the exclusion of all else. None of the NPCs were flirting with the actual aristocrat who was trying to liberate the island. Everything was so constantly dour, and I wondered if the protagonist Jin Sakai, knew what a joke was. And we'll get to the other stuff a little bit later. So again, she goes back to the jokes thing. This is a wartime setting. People are dying left and right. This island risks being wiped out from existence. A full-blown, good old-fashioned genocide. That is what they risk. Women and children slaughtered and raped. But she wants a good chuckle here and there at the plight that these people face. In contrast, every conversation in Tsushima, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong just because I'm horrible with pronunciations, inevitably ends up being a dull, self-serious lecture on morality or duty or self-control. Playing the game felt a lot like attending summer Bible camp, down to the part where sexual innuendo is taboo, and the only kind of love that exists is life or death devotion. That's because they are, I'm going to use literally in the correct way, quite literally, constantly in a life or death scenario. They are at war with a group of people who are looking to slaughter them and are winning. But she wants sexual innuendo. What does she think it's going to be like? I'm going to cut him with my sword, and the sword reminds me of my penis. This is not a game where you put in sexual innuendo. Things like morality, duty, self-control are tales as old as time. There's a reason they've been around forever. Which, when I get into my big rant, well, you'll see when it gets to it. Alright. That people feel wooden, and their lines of dialogue lack spontaneity. Well, it is a video game. What do you expect? I started to dread turning in quest to my companions, as their closing remarks would inevitably lead to a navel-gazing Aesopian conversation about the dangers of straying from the path, losing control, or faltering in resolve. These are some of the core aspects of just basic humanity. In fact, is it time for my script to rant yet? Not yet. So she wants a bunch of jokes and sexual innuendos in this game about war, death, and destruction, and all those other fun things. How is Kotaku still even open? Thanks. It shouldn't be, but it is. Luckily, I am using archive.ph to make sure they don't get any clicks. I should probably do the same for this one. Oh well. Yes, a lot of video game conflict is about the clash of ideals. In Tsushima, though, the conflict is pretty inelegant. Before I continue, has anyone else in the chat right now played this game? Has anyone seen what it's like? Let me fix this real quick. Go to live chat. That's better. I don't know why type chat even exists. Look at how many people have been hidden. I think she sucked balls at the game in this Malding. They want comedy and serious stories. And seriousness and lighthearted comedy. Piss off, seriously. Yes. Rant is coming. Rant is coming. Yes, a lot of you... I have not. At the very least, watch the cutscenes in the game. So, I should have probably done this all the way at the beginning. That's my fault. My apologies. The basic premise of the game is back in... what was the year? 1200s, I believe it was. When Japan began to be invaded by the Mongols. And it's a specific island off the coast of Japan. And it's dealing with the fact that the Mongols are there to slaughter them. The samurai fight with the concept of honor, the code of ethics, and all that fun stuff. The Mongols studied that stuff and is now using the samurai honor against them to kill them and defeat them. I'll go into it more when I get into my rant. These characters don't truly introspect or grow, so much as they tell each other what they believe. This is a lot how clashes work. They gotta tell each other what they believe. Strikes at the core of this problem, it's over-narrated. There's no breathing room for nuance. No! There is no breathing room for nuance! Which stood up because role-playing games inspired by Europe are often full of grey morality. Can we go back to a second? However, I do have concerns about the kind of fictional Japan that a Western studio might create. Which stood out because role-playing games inspired by Europe are often full of grey morality. Pick one. Sorry for the strong P. I've seen the game, just too many games to play, yes. I know that feeling well. So at first she's like, oh god, I'm worried about these Westerners ruining Japan. Why isn't this more like European games? After a while, I began to grow irritated at Jin, who seems to be a mess of unintentional contradictions. Welcome to the realization of that's what's going on in the game. So to continue the explanation of the game, this character Jin survives one of the Mongol assaults. And now he's got to choose how he's going to fight. Because he has seen how Mongols use honor against the samurai. Is he willing to let all of his people die for the sake of that honor? That is one of the core tendencies of this game. The core moral conflicts that happen. Will he hold on to his honor if it means all of his people die? Will he throw away his honor and potentially ruin... Rant is coming, rant is coming. He condemns the Mongols for leaving impaled corpses as a message, yet sees no hypocrisy in doing the same to 3 heads that he decapitates himself. Yes! Because they are the invaders. They are the ones doing this awful thing, invading a country. Yet sees no hypocrisy in doing the same to 3 heads that he decapitates himself. Because they are the aggressors. That is why he was doing this. Give me one quick moment. Going back to my notes. There's one problem. Okay. This is the crux of the problem in Tsushima, and it's one that doesn't exist in many other open world RPGs set in European settings. Again, with the European stuff, this is not a European game. Its morality is binary. Quit trying to colonize Japan, author of this thing. Its morality is binary. In this case, yes. People are either honorable or dishonorable. Yes. With little to zero nuance in between. Yes. That is the question of the game. A samurai either has self-control, good, or they do not, bad. Take out the samurai part. Anything either has self-control, good, or they do not, bad. Self-control is good. Losing self-control is bad. That is not a difficult concept. The samurai are allowed to kill with impunity, and I had vainly hoped that the narrative would critique their bloodlust. What? They are at war. I keep having to say this because she obviously doesn't get it. What does she think the game should do? Well, these people are taking over, they're killing us and slaughtering us, but maybe we should think about their own violence and how we react to them. Maybe if we talk things through. They never asked us our pronouns, but we never asked theirs. The game never addresses the real consequences of their violence. Instead, violence is solely represented as a clash of ideals. Yes! Losing self-control is why I can't quit smoking. Hey, Hamdru, I'm gonna nail you on this later. Smoker. Alright. There's just one problem. Honor is only an Asian value system in the imagination of Western writers. Like most human civilizations on Earth, East Asian societies have highly localized and context-specific ideas of honor. And this is where I'm gonna switch over to the script that I have written. Again, first draft, so it's gonna be a little bit rough. And I'm probably gonna stumble over a couple little pieces here and there, but we can talk about it after I am done. I may not be looking at chat while I'm doing this, and I may also break off to talk to chat. We'll see how this fun little adventure goes. Let's take a step back real quick. Take a breath and talk about some fundamental concepts of humanity. The concept of honor is not some aesthetic. Nor is it a mere plot device in stories. This is a chaotic universe that does not give two shits about you. The universe gains structure and safety through our human means. The reasons concepts like honor, justice, compassion, and all that branch from them, which are purely man-made ideals, the reason they exist is because they serve as a guiding force for all of humanity to thrive. There is nothing, not a single thing within this universe that physically binds you to your word. There is no atom that will explode if you break your word, no molecule that will cease working if you go back on your word. What binds you to your word is nothing more than an idea. But those ideas make civilization move and expand in ways that physical aspects of the universe would never be able to accomplish. Humanity requires both individual skill and talent, along with communal cooperation. For communal cooperation, there needs to be in place a system of honor. You can replace honor with any other word. Honor, justice, law even, but that gets a little bit murky. It needs a system of honor so things can move forward. You do work for someone, that someone will pay you when the work is done. Honor dictates that such a thing shall happen. If someone lacks such honor, maybe undercuts you, makes up some bullshit about how it's not good enough, they pay you about half or 75% or whatever else, they may be unable to get anyone to do that work for them in the future. These moral systems eventually get made into laws. Obviously, this is a concept that's a lot deeper and more complicated than this little section of this YouTube video or livestream video can cover, but you get the overall concept. For the individual, personal honor is so that they can grow themselves with their own personal skills and talents, choosing not to give up when it gets hard, stepping up to a difficult task, completing it no matter what so you become dependable. All of these are various aspects of personal honor. From these ideas of honor, tradition also grows. Again, this is a complicated topic that whole encyclopedias can be written on. I'm just giving the overall rough notes version. Noble concepts like honor must also exist within the most horrific of See? It's the mess up that usually you don't get to see when I make a video. Noble concepts like honor must also exist within the most horrific of circumstances, such as war. That's one of the reasons why there are prisoners of war instead of immediate casualties. All the other reasons, like, you know, prison exchange and whatnot, that's still based off a system of honor. It's why ground rules and limits are set, such as families of your opposition being off limits if they are not actively participating in the war, or if their safety was never in question. It's why two generals can ride forward on the dawn of battle to discuss terms without fearing a rain of arrows or a knife in the back. Because with this idea of honor, they can move forward. It's why when a warrior shows immense prowess on the field of battle, the opposition is more inclined to spare them, for the very soul and spirit that they have fostered deserves to be kept intact for the good of the nation, especially in olden times, when that meant good. I miswrote that. Which, especially in olden times, usually meant the good of humanity itself. An example of this is legendary samurai Honda Tadakatsu. To make a long story short, Tadakatsu's retainer rode out to engage with troops in a different area. While waiting, Tadakatsu noticed a huge army, led by the opposition itself, heading off in pursuit of his retainer. Tadakatsu could have stayed hidden, let them pass, live another day. Instead, bound by honor, he grabbed a handful of men and rode out to meet this opposing force, which was said to outnumber him for about 50 or 60 to 1. The opposing general was so struck by the bravery of this warrior and his loyalty to his retainer that he ordered no harm come to him or his men, and he let them pass. That is not a universal law. That is the law of man-made honor. But what happens if that honor, the very thing that is supposed to keep your civilization intact, is now the very thing threatening your civilization? That is what Ghost of Tsushima seeks to ask. The Mongol invaders studied the Japanese samurai's way of fighting, honor, and code of ethics, and they used those very means against them. This is a showcase when a samurai leader stepped forward to challenge the enemy commander in an honorable duel. In fact, let's take a moment and look at that scene. Okay. Pause you real quick. Full screen.
Outsiders! Send your finest warrior to face me! Nada, Jinnida. I am Harunobu Adachi, descendant of the legendary Yoshinobu Adachi.
To give credit what is due, this is the the channel I got from, Generic Gaming. Back to my speech. So was that act honorable? Not to the samurai, but that is how the Mongols fought. Will the samurai continue to line themselves up as pigs to the slaughter, using their code of ethics against an opponent who doesn't share the same? And exactly how far will you go? How much honor will you sacrifice in order to defeat this threat? Is there a point of no return when you sacrifice so much of your honor, the very intangible glue of ideas that keep your civilization together, that you end up destroying yourself, and that you end up destroying yourself, the very thing you've set out to save? That is what Ghost of Tsushima's protagonist is forced to constantly ask himself as he takes up the mantle of fighting without honor. Throughout the journey, he is constantly faced with difficult challenges, runs into many characters that have either chosen to do away with honor long ago, or will hold on to their honor until they die. His choices have consequences. Sometimes holding on to this honor can save a life. Other times, it can wipe out a village. Sometimes, using dishonorable methods, like using poison, can gain you a distinct advantage against your enemies who seek to wipe you out. Sometimes, using those dishonorable methods gives your enemies the very tool that you have handed to them, leading to the poisonings of your fellow men, which is exactly what happened in Ghost of Tsushima. Jin, the main character, used weapons against the Mongols, and the Mongols learn of the poison, learn how to make it, and use it against the very people he's trying to save. As time flows on and personalities clash, power ascends and falls. The concept of what honor is flows along with it. It's a difficult concept to grasp because you cannot grasp something intangible like a concept. You cannot measure it. You can't smell it. You can't taste it. You can't weigh it. You can't even draw it by itself as some representation of itself. Draw honor. Not somebody who has honor, not somebody who makes you think of honor, just draw honor itself. You can't do it. And yet, this giant blob of nothing in every corner of the world exists. And it exists as a core aspect of every civilization, even if the faces it takes are drastically different. That is why stories about doing the right thing exist to this day. We have not figured it out. In Game of Thrones, Eddard Stark's honor got his head chopped off. But do you want to live in the honorless world of Joffrey that led to Stark's head being chopped off? And the events that tumbled from this that eventually led to the near annihilation of the royal capital, among so much more. The story of Ghost of Tsushima brings something profound within me, because of my own conception of what honor is. This, ladies and gentlemen, and other creatures that try to make up your pronouns, this is what storytelling is all about, and what it really means to see yourself in a character. Not the superficial means like skin color or gender or any of that other bullshit. Traces of humanity, the core essences that make up your being. We touch upon that, and that draws us in. The NPC community, that nickname is not just a jab at them. It truly signifies how they lack those things. And that is why they need arbitrary nonsense to attach to. My own sense of honor, dignity, duty, dignity. They have a strong central pivot built into it. One in which this story touches upon. Morality without results is worthless. At least in my view. This brings up certain internal struggles with myself from time to time. If I try to take an honorable path, and I fail, this whole section needs to be rewritten. But if I try taking an honorable path, and I fail at it, was it the fault of my honor and morality? Or was it that I was personally too weak to overcome those challenges? So you can imagine what I feel when I see these problems arise in the story of Ghost of Tsushima. My own invisible, intangible idea resonating with the main character and all of the side characters. And that is where I stopped that part of the section. Rant over. Sounds familiar, like modern civilization. Do we abuse the copyright strike against people who false flag and wrongly cancel people for power? Oof, that is not a topic I wish to touch upon, at least within this stream, but there's a lot of people in certain circles I follow that keep playing this game of trying to hold a certain type of honor when it really has no meaning, but like I said, that's a topic for another time. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other scenes in the game. Not this one. We're not gonna watch this whole thing, just segments of it.
Look! The bridge! They're falling back! The Khan wouldn't give up like this. Something's wrong. Open fire!
I'm pulling explosives!
Shoot the horses! Shoot them! Those poor souls.
Send them to die. Nothing.
We must honor their sacrifice. Get our best soldiers. We're up.
So what do you think about this scene, chat? This guy, the leader of this faction, sent these soldiers across the bridge towards the Mongols. The Mongols lit some horses on fire and sent them on through. This something should have been kind of obvious. Of course they were not going to just wait around. They've already shown they have no honor, and they will do whatever it takes to kill these people.
Repair the bridge and attack at dawn.
Should this... what should I call him? This commander, should he be reprimanded for his choices? He tried to use honor. He tried to go the usual samurai way. And this is what happened.
No. We lost too many. You have listened to me. Enough. There is another way. We will discuss it alone. The Mongols are on the defensive. We will strike before they regroup and end this war tomorrow. You sent our men to die. They are soldiers. Their blood is on our hands. I can find a way past the bridge. Poison the enemy. An act of terror. I'm trying to save our people. By teaching them to fear us. If you continue down this path, you will be no better than the Mongols. I trained you to fight with honor. Honor died on the beach. Khan deserves to suffer. You are ruled by your emotion. I sacrificed everything I knew to save our people. I gave them hope. You did nothing. Shh, no. We're finished.
So what do you think about that scene? He is following the samurai way. And what that did was let people to their death. Soldiers, yes, but people nonetheless. People defending their homeland. Jin, the main character, suggested a different route. Another way. Poison. Dishonorable! Yes. But so what? How many people need to die to the enemy for you to be satisfied? Why would you not kill all your enemies and leave your soldiers intact? What is the purpose of doing that? I mean, at first glance, it seems like an easy answer. And you find out later in the game, the Mongols learn of the poison, learn how to make it, and they use it against them. It's a similar concept of when I can't say two nations, when two factions fight and one conquers the other, usually they try not to kill the women and children of the opposing general's family. Because if they do that, and another faction finds that out, let's say they lose the next battle, what's going to happen to their family? Alright, let's go ahead and move forward. And so he goes ahead, does all the poisoning stuff. Poison. And the Khan, the leader of all these people, is in here. This is Jin's friend from childhood, his best friend. Here's the thing about honor. It's what makes men. But you still must have common sense. The lack of common sense with honor is pride, and it makes fools of all men. Also, pride goes before destruction. That is a point, yes. That is a good point, even. It's actually one which I kind of use a lot myself. But here's the question to that. When it comes to common sense, isn't it common sense that you can just kind of break your honor this one time for this one thing? I mean, it doesn't ruin everything. It's just the one time you decide to break it. Except human psychology has told us that it's never just once. That the first time you do something, the second time is a lot more likely. And after the second time, you're pretty much done. I forgot the specific statistics, but if you do something which you consider a sin the second time, you're something like 99%, not 99, but like 85% more likely to do it forever. Define honor. Pian, did you miss my rant earlier? I did a whole rant on honor. Alright. So while you type up, we'll continue this scene.
Where's the Khan? The road north.
So he basically sided with the Khan to save his people.
They're behind to collect the ghost. Then come claim it. No. I could have killed you earlier.
against the Khan to give you a chance.
He murdered Taka.
You slaughtered my men. I've lost everything. Except you. We can defeat the Mongols together.
After everything you've done!
Tell the people I was your spy. Sent to gain the Khan's trust. They'll believe the ghost.
Stop! You were my oldest friend, Ryuzo. Surrender. And answer for your crimes. Both our sins.
So now, the honor of being honest and not lying seems to matter to him. This is part of the internal struggle he's got to deal with. He just dishonorably went around poisoning a whole bunch of people. But now, suddenly he's back to being honorable again. Makes very little sense at the shallow level, but on a deeper level, I kind of understand. Just because you crossed one line in one direction doesn't mean you can now cross another line in another direction. Though a lot of times that is what happens. People cross one line to the east, they're more likely to cross another line in the north, south, and the west, and all the other directions. Honor is as honor is, usually defined by the victor. Every side does horrible and dishonorable shit. But the winner wins out in the end. The argument that you just made is the ends justify the means type of argument. And so let's say we go to modern day. If I release Super Coof, let's say I make the Super Coof, throw in some AIDS in there, and release it out to the public. Well, not to the big public, but let's say in a confined space. Maybe alter it so it only genetically hits Asian people. And I conquer China by those methods. I mean, I am the victor if I'm going to war with them, but is that really the path I want to take? What'll happen to the civilization that I build after that? Is honor doing the right thing, then how is it related to pride? It's like I mentioned before. It's difficult to grasp because it's a concept. You can't grab it, you can't taste it, you can't weigh it, you can't do any of that stuff. But thank you for joining us. You know, it pissed me off. Just because someone's a hypocrite doesn't mean they're wrong in what they say. Yeah, that is another thing that is a big issue. The concept of hypocrisy. We're all hypocrites at one point or another. It's just kind of the natural way that life goes. And yet, for some reason, if you end up being a little hypocritical once, your entire everything seems to be ruined. Like, you can have a concept of don't get angry over silly things, and then something silly happens, like you spill a drink, and you momentarily get a little bit pissed off. Like, God damn it! People are like, "Ooh, I got you now." Or my favorite meme that's come out of the last few months. You want to win, but you want your enemies to lose. Doesn't that make you a bit hypocritical? That's what a lot of people have kind of adopted. It is what it is. Shinobi assassinate leaders. Shinobi or samurai. Honor is just a steadfast holding on to your beliefs. If you can justify the belief, they claim it as honorable. I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. Because again, we're just touching upon the shallow moments and these individual actions. Because you can take any scenario you want and put it in a vacuum and mold it in a way that makes honor seem like the best thing ever or the stupidest thing ever. But when you expand it out on a huge global societal level, the game changes a little bit. As people type, I'll continue. the scene.
I can't.
You should have surrendered.
I won't die by your uncle's hand.
You won't stop me, Ryuzo.
The poison. You broke your uncle's code.
You left me no choice. I'll never forgive you.
Jin. Please.
Goodbye, Ryuzo.
This lady, by the way, is a bandit who saved his life.
Ryuzo.
Good.
The castle is yours. The Khan marches north. We can head him off.
Defied me.
I did what I had to. For them.
Is this how you want to be remembered?
He defended us.
By spreading fear and chaos.
We are at war.
And you are acting like the enemy. This is not our way.
Your way can't save our people.
The Shogun will demand a head. But it does not have to be yours. I know she drove you to this.
Uncle.
Renounce the ghost. You must blame her for this outrage.
So where is the honor in that? Suddenly, Mr. Don't Use Poison is saying, offer up a scapegoat to have her head chopped off. Granted, she's a bandit, he already feels that she should be killed because honor. But isn't this dishonorable? Just because I'm being... For example, I'm on welfare, but I want to involve people who reduce welfare to those who need it less than others. TLDR, I may be one of those who need it less. Just because I'm being a leech in this way, and that's terrible of me, does not mean that suddenly my want to change how the government handle this is invalid. Hell, if I get it my way, I will lose the welfare too. I understand that plight, not in the direct literal sense, but the basic concept of it very well, actually. For some proof about that, samurai did Heine shirt. The name literally means headhunter. Yes, they tempered their belief in death, but it's still there. Hence stuff like 47 Ronin. Yeah. The samurai started out as basically tax collectors. They did not have a very honorable origin. But they have since changed and transformed. Like I said, in the rant I did, honor changes with the flow of time as well. Let's finish off this scene.
Tell them. You are Jin Shimura, loyal servant to the Shogun. My heir. My son.
I am not your son. I am the ghost.
Ooh. And his choice has been made.
And you will be judged for it.
Clayton said, "Are you talking about the game? Some people would not like the game itself."
Taka. Go.
Alright, and with that, one more, just 26 seconds. So this is at the end of the game. The two people are now facing each other. So what happens is, Honor basically failed. And it was Jin's, the main character's, dishonorable tactics that led them to stopping the Khan and basically saving all of Japan. Or at least the island. And you would think that he would be rewarded for doing this, except the Shogun put a price on his head. Oops, too soon. The Shogun put a price on his head for being dishonorable and fighting without honor. And it's now this person's job, being the loyal retainer of the Shogun, to hunt down the criminal that is the Ghost of Tsushima. And so now they're confronting each other.
Was an outlaw. He taught our people to defy their leaders.
To defend themselves.
With poison. A gift you gave to our enemy.
I had to stop you from throwing away our people's lives.
You have no honor.
And you are a slave to it.
And then what happens after that fight? It's really interesting. Let's get the sound back on. What happens after that fight is you were left with a choice. You defeated your uncle, who is now on his knees. Your uncle who basically raised you. And you were given the choice to either kill him, which is the honorable thing to do, or let him live in dishonor, because that's how the samurai rolled back then. And you were given the choice. Either way, what you choose is going to be the end of the game. Either you kill him or you walk away. Which will leave people to wonder, what should his final act be? Should it be one of honor? To honor his uncle's wish and kill him, even though he personally doesn't want to? But the whole of the samurai code, the very thing his uncle lived by, is he going to honor that? Or is he going to walk away from it? Potentially doing a lot more harm than good to himself. Not to mention the dishonor that will bring down... the dishonor that will come down on his uncle's family. It's not an easy thing. You know, why blame a blank for what a man did? I'm not sure what you'd I'm not sure what the blanks are supposed to be. Toss him the knife and leave, and be his second. Leave it your uncle. Downside of this live stream is that none of us have felt the weight of the story as it progressed throughout the game. So these are very much isolated pocket instances. We have not seen the consequences of throwing away your honor. We have not seen the consequences of holding on to it. Well, we saw it a little bit in the other video I showed. I feel like the entire leaving him alive would just be putting salt on the wound and shit in such a culture, no? So in that situation... But you see, the main point of all of this conversation that we've been having is that this is a conversation we've been having. This is not something so easily solved. Even in these isolated pocket instances. And this dumb bitch right here, this filthy subhuman parasite, the NPC, everything just constantly dowered. Like, you guys saw the scenario that he was constantly placed in. You know, killing his oldest friend, fighting his uncle, seeing his men die. Why is everything so dour? Where are the jokes? The big problem with Tsushima is that it relied too much on couching its world in the historical accuracy of its aesthetics. It relied too much on couching the world in the historical accuracy of its aesthetics. Didn't you earlier say... Why do I have concerns about the kind of fictional Japan that a Western studio might create? Again, we keep coming back. She cannot hold a single thought. Everything has to be flowers and butterflies for these morons. The Shogun told his son, blame the woman, have her beheaded, and be seen as an honorable man. So this person also continues, because the article is not even done yet. I previously thought of ancient Greece as a stuffy and intellectual world because my main exposure to the country was through learning about it in public school. But Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, showed me that ancient Greeks could be fuck-ups, they could be horny, lazy, and selfish. So you had a preconceived notion about an entire culture of people through your public school textbooks. But a video game based very highly on fantasy showed you that the Greeks might not be what you thought they were. In contrast, Tsushima was obsessed with respect to the point of sacrificing the... I'm not gonna read this off loud. Yeah, I am. For the similitude of life. Everyone in Jin's world is beautiful, but no one is horny. Everyone is beautiful, but no one is horny. She wants them in the middle, being covered in blood and shit and guts of their fellow soldiers. She wants to just go ahead and stop and just start fucking. Do you know about Spirit Fair? I do not know about that. So what she ultimately wanted to happen was all of these concepts of honor and dignity and sacrifice and all that to be thrown to the wayside just so she could watch him fuck. The stable beauty of Ghost comes from the West's uncomfortable relationship with Asian gender and sexuality. Jin Sakai is a man who is obsessed with honor and has nothing else going on in his life. At that particular moment, no. At that particular moment, he had nothing else going on in his life. His entire, I don't know what you call it back then, battalion was slaughtered by the Mongols. He's trying to save his people from genocide. Sorry if he doesn't take a break from being anti-genocide so he can have a quick fuck. Dude, this lady knows that the guy fucking in the goat is usually the bad guy, right? Right? This sexlessness is in line with how Asian men are viewed in the West. Impotent, devoid of romance, and free from personal desire. Has this woman not seen a hentai? Come on! Nobody thinks of this. Nobody thinks of... This is racist. This Asian bitch is racist. Impotent, devoid of romance, and free from personal desire. Especially the last one, free from personal desire. This one is actually a problem. There's too much personal desire in Asian cultures right now. As I've said, it leads rise to the, oh god, I forgot the word, hikikomoris. People who never leave the room because they're too busy playing video games and just self-satisfaction. As I've said time and time again, let Jin Sakai fuck. Let him shoot the shit at the tavern. Let him have a rich internal life that feels separate from his quest to liberate Tsushima Island. What a psychotic bitch that she is. I hate her. I fucking hate who she is and everything she stands for. Worthless, subhuman trash. That is the person who wrote this fucking article. Should have been a third option. Play it actually fight your uncle to the death. Uncle wins his honor by killing you in honorable duel, or uncle loses and he dies by his son's hand in duel. In Spirit of Failure, you basically help people pass on to the afterlife. They talk about the difficulties in life. One of the people used to be wheelchair bound and used to mention that death was the only release out of such misery. I was important to know that this game was all about acceptance of death and the fact that life can suck. Now what the journalist bitched about is that the wheelchair guy was too negative and how he shouldn't talk about being in a wheelchair like that. The personal desire is what drives the story. The personal desire leads to conflict. Personal desire to follow honor, to win, to fight your way. That too. Like, this person is unbelievably dumb and shallow. So shallow. All she wants to do is just see people fuck. Forget that morality thing, just tell me a couple of jokes. Send a dick pic in 1200s Asia. All these people care about is what's going on in the pants, correct. I just need Ubisoft to treat the Japanese assassins of its upcoming game no differently than the European counterparts. So she wants Ubisoft to take the Asian, Japanese-focused game and treat them no differently than their European counterparts. She wants to erase their Asian identity and make them more European. You racist fucking cunt. I'm gonna repeat it. I hate you. I hate what you are. I hate what you stand for. You probably don't even realize what you just said with this. Unbelievable. Haha, I just killed my friends. Hey, bandit lady, let's fuck. They changed the dialogue and no longer mentioned that death was the only release. That is awful. This head and ass journalist couldn't fathom negativity in a game that's all about accepting that life is unfair. That's the fucking point, you asshole. Yeah. And that's the end of this article. But CC Jiang. God, what else have you done? Nintendo actively investigating recent claims of misconduct. Final Fantasy producer says series is... You also wrote this one, you stupid bitch! This is a clickbait title, by the way. Final Fantasy producer says the series is struggling. No, he didn't. He said in one singular specific aspect of the game compared to modern day games that are coming out, it's struggling in this one little vacuum of an issue. In fact, let me see. I can just click on it and we can go to it. I remember this article. Recent interview with Inverse. Let's go with that. Actually, I can probably pull up her stupid... Hold on. About? Heck issues. What's this? Like, I've gone to her Twitter before. My god, she is making almost $500 per month out of this garbage. That's disgusting. Alright, back to this. Once built credibility, you can take on the challenges. Okay, okay. Keyword keep making, okay. I think this is it, right? I think it's capital 2. Possibility in development styles to basically change, accumulate. Why can't I find it? Breaks. There we go. In terms of whether Final Fantasy is successfully adapting to industry trends, I believe the series is currently struggling. Speaking of breaks, could use one. Ongoing duties. And pressure is on for the next mainline installment to live up to a 35-year legacy. In terms of whether Final Fantasy is successfully adapting to industry trends, I believe the series is currently struggling. We're now at a point where we receive a wide variety of requests regarding the direction of our game design. To be honest, it'd be impossible to satisfy all those requests with a single title. As you can see, this is a lot different than just the headline. My current impression is that all we can really do is create multiple games and continue creating the best that we can at any given time. So he's not saying that... says the series is struggling. Alright. So let's see what's going on with you, chat. Sorry about that random quietness because I was reading. I gotta get better at that. I gotta do more streams so I can gain experience. Right now I lack experience in just the flow of everything. But I am getting better. As you can see, I planned the stream out ahead of time. I did a little bit of reading. I got things laid out. We didn't go searching for stuff. I'm getting better. If she just wants to play a game with sex, she can just get any uncut visual novel from Steam. Well, that's on screen waste. Yeah, let's take these Asians and make more European. I bet she's a tie-dye haired blob. I bet she has that hairstyle where half the... God, you know what? Hold on. Copy. Let's go hunting for this bitch. So we can make fun of her. That's her, right? Yes. They / who cares? Staff writer Kotaku, 3 times award nominated game developer, Forbes under 30. Unfortunately, can't see a picture. I know I've seen a picture of her somewhere. So I was talking about abortions. Yes, all abortions should be legal. Of course, she's one of those types. Personally victimized. You know what? I'm just gonna believe that she's lying. Is Tekken an anti-beginner fighting game franchise? Why or why not? Skull and Bones. Not push too much. What if we go to images? There we go. We got the blue hair, everybody. We got the blue hair. You win. Fat. Authenticity is balls. Yeah, this is someone I can just tell just from the looks I would hate. Let me pull this up. I want to see what it says. I can't read that. Do you feel petrified at whether or not your identity enough to create games about a certain topic? Does the idea of representing your entire group give you hives? Don't worry no more. In this talk, I will be exploring the benefits of ignoring the critic in your head. Wait. Game dev of color who feels pressure to create games that fit your narrative? Well, yeah, she wants to erase Asian culture, so makes sense, I guess. That's what she's doing. She's trying to erase Asian culture. She's taking all these Japanese things like honor and dignity and just wants to erase them, make them all fuck like the Greeks that she played in that one video game. Oh my god. Filthy, filthy creature. Oh man. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. I think that pretty much covers all that I want to cover. If anybody else has anything they want to say or bring up, feel free. I can stay for, hours if need be, depending on how you guys want to have the conversation. None of you have given me any money through super chats, I've noticed, just saying. But if everybody is done, I can just go ahead, wrap things up, and call it a day. Well, it's a fat Asian woman who wants to be a white, blonde European woman, all while acting like a ratchet black woman. How about you represent yourself, you fuckwad? Don't speak for others. Your attempt to get fans is only patronizing to... your attempt to get fame, sorry, small screen, is only patronizing to anyone who you say you speak for. Yes, filthy, disgusting creature, that is. Oh. Alright, everybody, we've gone for about an hour and 20 minutes. I think it just about covers everything. I may decide to take the rant I did, the scripted rant, semi-scripted, and make it its own little video for tomorrow. We will see. But thank you all who have joined us. Be going ahead and cutting off the stream, closing out all of these tabs, and I will speak to you next time. Thank you for joining us.